and welcome to Bad Company, guys. I'm Dirt,
I'm LJJ.
and today we're going to talk about what's exceptional and non-exceptional for businesses. And just to note, we're going off of a business aspect. If you have comments, questions, concerns, anything you guys want to add as viewers, as listening, you're more than welcome to comment. We always love comments. We always answer comments, and we share comments with the whole team. So let's go ahead and get into it. Carl, what do you think is some exceptional things and non-exceptional things for a business?
Exceptional is actually listening to the workers. Like they're helping you guys, work, and they're getting money and everything. And it's just like they're not listening to the workers.
Mm-hmm.
To run a business, you got to listen to the workers, honestly.
Okay. And is that the only is that non-exceptional or is that exceptional?
That would have to be like the non-exceptional.
Non-exceptional. Okay. And what would be non-exceptional? Or sorry, what would be exceptional? Like what would you, so when I say the word exceptional, I mean like what do you expect from a company? Like from a big business, corporation. Like what do you expect from them and what do you not expect?
Reliability, flexibility.
Okay. So that would be okay. And so you listed two exceptionals. Could you possibly list another non-exception?
Well, one of the companies that I was reading up on is sexual abuse. That's non-accept.
Definitely. No, I agree. I definitely agree. Sexual abuse is actually probably the number one thing for most women and men.
Right.
Like definitely that's definitely not exceptional. Okay. Jeffrey, what would you consider exceptional and non-exceptional?
I'd say for exceptional, they need to listen more to the employees to see how they feel and to see what some changes need to be done.
Okay. What else would be exceptional?
If it's got, and if they don't have like good health insurance or whatever benefit, they need to change some of that because some people put life in risk too.
So would it be exceptional for changes or exceptional to make benefits for everyone?
I say benefits for everyone.
Okay. All right. So we all did our homework, like always we do. We got actually some companies that we actually think that I wouldn't say fit this category, but think that they need to be pointed out so they can see where their faults are, how they could fix it, and how they choose not to fix it. Carl, what would be your company?
Company that I choose is the Winston Company.
Okay. And what are they doing?
The Weinstein Company. Okay, the Weinstein Company. My bad.
Oh, okay. And what are they doing that's bad?
Well, back in 2017, the New York Times exposed them from multiple counts of sexual abuse.
Okay. And how could they
did it to the movie mogul. They did it to like the disgraced movie mogul.
Okay. And how could they fix like sexual abuse
at all? Like not allow it, not even allow the people that.
Well, okay. Well, here's my question. How do you stop sexual abuse? I mean, naturally. I mean, I get where you're coming from, and I agree with you. But like, how do you point out sexual abuse? How do you stop it? Like, how would they stop sexual abuse and not just their business, but that franchise in general? Like, what would be some of the protocols that they should follow?
Bring any suspicion of it to like the corporation or something like that,
like HR
or HR. Or even, the one biggest thing that, a lot of companies have problems of is the big background checks.
Okay, yeah, no, definitely. I mean, definitely some of them actually cheap out on background checks. So like they don't necessarily look into everybody like they should. I mean, I definitely agree. Definitely need some background checks on that one. But like for someone that's never, so for an example though, and this is just the case of, talking business. Say they did the background check and their background check was clean and they've never been, suspected for sexual abuse or sexual harassment, and they do it. Like, how do you, like, that's what I mean. How do you prevent that? Like, how would they prevent that? I mean, they technically can't control a specific person. So, like, how would you, like, I mean, you was on the right track when you talked about, report it, but there has to be another way for them to stop it? Like, should everybody, like a man and a female, be supervised? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how would you stop it?
I would say each sector has a supervisor.
Okay. I mean, no, I definitely agree on that. So okay, so with that being said, how are they not fixing the problem? Like, how are they making it worse? Like, how is
They're
the
not
company
they're not taking the protocols of it serious.
So they pretty much have a policy and they're
When
not
they
following their policy.
Yes, they're turning up blind eye.
Okay. I did actually write down a note. Why is it exceptional to listen? Like, why is that such a big key factor in a business? Like, and this is to both of you. This is to both of you. Like, why is it exceptional to listen? Like, what's
To see how,
see
I was
how?
gonna say, to see how they feel, what all is going wrong, and what they need to fix mainly.
Okay, Carl, what do you think?
Because if
No, you had a good point. I'm gonna be honest, you had a good point, and that's why I stopped you there. I wasn't trying to be rude or nothing, but like you made a good point. It's definitely listening is a key thing to fixing half of your problems. But I want to see if Carl can come up with the other thing for it. Carl, what do you got to say about that? Why is it exceptional to listen?
They're getting a different point of view.
Okay, I mean, can you elaborate a little bit?
Guys.
So we have a special guest today. It is Denise. So I mean, I hear you clearly. I mean, we all hear you in the background. What do you got to say? Why is it exceptional to listen?
So as I was saying to my
Carl.
husband, it's important to listen because you're getting a different point of view as, say, a specific business owner yourself. If you have your employees underneath you, you're not always going to see what's going on in their day-to-day aspect. So when you actually take the initiative to listen to your employees, you're getting a separate point of view of, what it's like to deal with the customers and the other employees. Like with the sexual harassment, topic, out of a personal experience, it wasn't that long ago that someone at work, somewhere where I work, he was hitting on every single female worker that he came into contact with, and it took multiple people saying something for management to do anything about it.
Okay, and what would you say? How could they fix that? Like, how could they personally fix it?
Well, instead of letting it go on, why is it so hard to take the initial first acknowledgement of the case
To
seriously?
handle it right. No, I definitely agree.
Why wait for multiple, why wait for it to happen multiple times? Why not deal with it the correct way the first time?
Well, I mean, you've heard the story, the boy cried wolf. That's what most people think. They go, they look, they hear it and they go, well, I'll keep an eye on it. And then they hear someone else. I mean, eventually, if the same person keeps going with that report, they're going to be like, well, either one person's lying or the other one's being sexually harassed. So like, that's most cases. But like in your eyes, like how could personally, like in your eyes, like if you was, the business owner, how would you go on and like handling that situation and like fixing it in general?
I would make that a specific aspect of the training. Like, yeah, I know a lot of companies have that specific section, but they don't touch base on what exactly is okay and what is not.
Okay.
So it would be important to push that topic that extra mile when it comes to training new employees. So when that situation, if it ever were to arise, they can be like, oh, okay, I remember from the training that this is okay, or it's not because, this is overstepping a specific boundary.
Right. No, I totally agree. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. That is honestly I wouldn't say the number one thing in businesses that's an issue, but sexual harassment is definitely up there. I think it's like 2 or 3, because like money laundering is number 1, sexual harassment I
Yeah.
think it is, and then it's companies not listening to their employees, because like I was telling everybody, businesses, the way that they work is, yes, there might be a CEO, a main owner, but they don't run their company. Their workers run their company.
Yeah. The employees run their company, and
Right.
the owners and CEOs are the ones who are just reaping the benefits of the hard work that, the employees are doing.
Right. So like they definitely I'm gonna be honest, and I'm gonna point everybody's points on this one, like so far, is listening is definitely the number one thing, and having exceptions and no exceptions is very, very futile. And, definitely going with both of yours and Carl's, sexual harassment is probably the number one leading case in some states, and it's not good. Like, you definitely need more protocols. If you have policies, definitely need to follow them, and you definitely need to keep up on the matters. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, Denise, you proved a great point. When you hear a report about it, they just go, okay, that's seriously all they do nowadays. And that definitely needs to be handled and situated. So, now, my last question for you before we go on to asking Jeffrey what his business is, how are they making it worse? Like, what? I mean, you've already explained, what's bad, what they need to fix, how they could fix it. How are they not fixing it? Like, what's making it even worse as the time goes by?
So with with that in mind, where I work, we have a lot of like high school kids, and there is a rumor has it, it's actually a proven fact because I heard it from management, themselves, that an old employee that worked at the store that I do was actually a pedophile, and he would make inappropriate comments to the underage workers.
Oh.
And yeah, so all they had done was just transfer him to another store. They didn't terminate him completely. So what they had done wrong was, they took the, dangerous situation away from, our store. But what about the other, store that he was sent to? You're putting those underage employees in danger.
Well, and
So
this is just like a note to what you just said. Do you know about the other store? Like, do you know if there's other minors? I guess that's what we would call them, minors. What minors are working there? Like, do you know if there's any minors working at that store? Because they could have sent them to a store where it's just adults. I mean, as a business, and that's what I was trying to get to, is as a business aspect,
yeah.
like, you got to look at it as like their solution. Okay, yeah, I mean, don't be wrong, they should have definitely terminated them and told them to come back and reapply in 60 days. But at the same time, they could have fixed the situation by sending them to a store where there's just adults. So my question to you is, do you know if that store like has minors?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I do. So the company I work for has over like 500 stores
And
all over the country.
what's the company's name?
Freddy's.
Oh, oh, a fast food. Okay, go ahead, continue.
Like they have one in Collinsville, they have one in Edwardsville, they have Shiloh, they have Mount Vernon.
And
They
other
have a lot of
places. Right.
stores in this area.
I mean,
And I think he was sent to Shiloh.
yeah, I don't know too much about Shiloh. I do know that like the Collinsville area, and this is just going off of basic topic. Collinsville area is nothing but kids. Edwardsville area is nothing
Right.
but high schoolers and college kids. So I mean, them two
Yeah.
areas would be bad. I don't know too much about Shiloh. We could definitely do a follow-up, like a follow-up
Yeah.
episode on this.
Yeah.
Because I mean, because I ain't gonna lie, you both actually brought up a good point, and I don't know why I didn't think of it. Sexual harassment is just a topic on its own, is a situation that needs to be handled. And the way that some people produce it, because like I know some people that have had scenarios happen to them. I'm not going to go into too great detail, but they, been wrongfully punished for being a pedophile, or it was charged as a pedophile, was guilty. But like they like are no longer like that, or they don't do that. Like spending time with these people, like they no longer do these things or haven't done these things. So like some people actually frown upon pedophiles because of that reason. Like
Yeah.
that's honestly one of my notes here, is that like, yeah, I definitely agree sexual harassment's an issue, and people that robbed and did drugs and pedophiles, like we definitely need to keep our eye on them, but we don't need to frown upon it. Like the past is the past.
Oh,
Everybody
yeah,
makes a
no,
mistake.
I definitely agree. I do believe that, people like that can be rehabilitated. And, as long as they serve their time and they show the legitimate change, there's no reason in my mind where, like, even with their record, if they show the rehabilitation, that there's no reason why they can't work for the company.
Right, exactly. And I agree. So anything else you want to add to, I mean, what you were saying, any details you want to add, any information you want to add? I mean, you definitely brought up something definitely to my attention. And hopefully
Yeah.
the viewers also.
Yeah. So we were talking about the companies and the management and everything
Hmm.
listening to employees. From personal experience, a lot of companies neglect that. They take advantage of the fact that, they have, high school minors and, people who have that open availability for whatever reason that may be. And, they take advantage of that and work people like dogs
They do.
to where, they are burnt out or,
They walk off.
well, we're still, well, yeah, well, where they walk off and or cause a scene and make the business itself look bad, which I mean, sometimes in that case, that's
It's what they
kind
get.
of what needs to happen. But
Right,
at
it's
the
what
same
they get.
time,
It's like, hey, come on.
yeah,
No, I agree.
it's like from personal experience, we have our two daughters and, we're paying the bills for our place. And, they know that. They know what my availability is and everything, but they keep scheduling me for times that don't exactly work. And, I've gone time and time again to explain, like, hey, I'm a mom first, I'm a wife first, and,
There has to be time
my
for me,
family
not
is going
just
to
you.
come first.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. I'm a family man too, so
And
like I completely
yeah.
agree.
Yeah. And so with listening to employees, let's go on the topic of making, you know, not just with sexual harassment, but let's make it a decent environment for everyone to work in. And I think it would be important to find a specific way to weed out the employees that aren't doing their jobs and recognize in a subtle but decent way, give shine light on the employees that go above and beyond. The reason I bring this up is I am one of those employees that I bust my ass even on the worst day, even on the days where I'm in the worst mood possible. I go in there, I put a smile on my face, and I'm as polite as I can be, and I stick to my job. Meanwhile, you have these other employees that are coming in, walking around, doing whatever they feel like doing, half-assing, whatever task they're given.
Showing up late,
And
not showing up at
yeah,
all.
showing up late, no call, no shows, just doing whatever they feel like versus, people like me who are actually doing what they're supposed to be doing the entire shift. And here lately, it's been these employees that aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing that are getting all of the hours. Meanwhile, mine are getting cut. And,
Right.
everybody who's busting their ass to make the business run how it's supposed to be run, we're getting neglected and treated like garbage.
No, I
Like we're
agree.
expendable.
I mean, honestly, and that brings up to a good point because every company, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, not Derp Studios because we don't agree upon numbers here. Every company
Yeah.
other than us, of course, thinks that you're just a number. You are expendable. You are replaceable. And honestly, the hard workers, the ones that willing to spend the time and put the time and effort in, are not expendable and not replaceable because there's not many of us. So like I definitely agree, and I definitely want to give you a round of applause for sharing with us and definitely giving us your side of how not just how it is, but how it should be and how you see it, because as a person that works in a line of work like that, it is hard. And I don't want to go into great detail because we still got a couple more to share. But there is a business that my wife works at, and same issues. Not sexual harassment wise, but same issues of not listening, like, and employees not doing their jobs. Like the other day, she had a employee walk off, and because her GM is out of town, she had to go in and worked. Literally, I'm gonna be honest, she worked a morning shift, had to go back in an hour later, worked all the way up until like 1 1 o'clock, came home, went to sleep, got up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go back into open. So like I definitely agree with that. There is definitely a problem. And again, I want to give you a round of applause for, you know, sharing. I mean, it does take some people don't like to share. I mean, if anytime you want to come back on and share or share more stories, more information, you're more than welcome to. I mean, we love
I
having
definitely will.
love definitely having guests. But with that, I don't mean to cut you short or anything, but I do
That's
gotta
fine.
keep things going. Jeffrey, you do have a company yourself, right?
I was gonna say somewhat, but not all the way. I was
Okay,
gonna say like construction, if that's still a company.
yes, that's technically a company.
I don't know.
It is technically a company. Yes,
Okay.
it would be subcontractors.
Yeah, I just don't know anymore because you know how they change that.
I mean,
But,
everything's changing
I
every
was
day.
gonna
So.
say, yeah, since I always see some flaws and some good flaws in it. Like sometimes, I see some workers that don't get paid fairly when they like know a whole bunch and all that.
So what do you mean? So like you say paid fairly. So what do you mean by that? So
Since they like they don't get paid fairly at all. Like they get paid like a full amount. Like say if you know how nails shape, you like got experience in it.
okay, so you
Sometimes
mean
you get
like
paid.
a supervisor that's been there for 4 years and a supervisor that just became a supervisor, they're being paid the same amount and it shouldn't be because the supervisor that's been there longer has more experience?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. I'm trying to think of it because as a business
It-
aspect, go ahead.
Because I know there's like, 'cause everybody knows there's certain ways to do it. That's what I was gonna say.
No, I totally agree. My thing is like, can you explain a little bit more? Cause like, as a listener, detail is definitely key to explaining a situation and
Mhm.
explaining how things go. So like, can you give us an example?
Like, okay, say if you go like start from the ground up on building a house.
Right,
I
right. No, no, no,
know.
no. Okay.
Okay.
Let me,
Stop
let
saying
me,
I got steps in, guys.
yeah, let me rephrase myself. Okay, don't give me an example of someone doing more work than somebody else. Give me an example of what that might be like. So I'm trying not to do an example for you. An example would be like we have this supervisor and he's paid $16 an hour. And you know, he knows a little about these machines because he used to be a mechanic for another company. Well, because of this, he knows this company and another supervisor comes along and knows nothing about these machines, but is still a supervisor getting paid $16 an hour. They should turn around and pay the supervisor that knows a little bit about the machines, pay him a little bit more to give that advice. Like I'm trying to. What are you trying? Like, explain. Give me an example of what you're trying to explain.
Basically, like how the supervisor that knows what they're doing to show like trying a little bit with that L supervisor for the L2 to get like some understanding of it.
Okay, and how could they fix that?
But I was gonna say they truthfully always ask people about like what type of experience they got before giving anybody like those positions.
Okay. And with that being said, so like, how do you think they hire supervisors? Like, in that
They
position,
usually
like, well, because like you do understand that there is a such thing as being overqualified, right?
that too, yeah.
I mean, so like, in an aspect, you don't want someone that's super overqualified to take a supervisor job that they're, I mean, qualified for, but overqualified because now they're gonna ask for more money. Now that ain't fair to the other supervisors that's, you know, been working there for years. You know what I mean? Like, that's just one scenario. I mean, and then the other aspects, they do actually hire people that are qualified, but some people, if you think of it like this, some people do more work or like to put more effort into things than other people. So like you're pretty much going into the depth of like someone going above and beyond should be compensated type of ordeal. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, that's why I had you re-explain it, because at first the way it seemed like you was more talking about someone that's been there for longer that has more experience than someone that just started should be paid more. Yes and no, because like then they would have to change the job position in general, you know, because then everybody would be expected to do that. And the key is that this is where this comes in. This is where this conversation, the topic comes in, is that you can't. When I say exceptional, and just to let you all know, because you all answered exceptional incorrectly. When I asked what's exceptional and non-exceptional, you guys answered like with things. That's not what I mean. I don't mean things. I mean, and what's exceptional and not exceptional. So what's exceptional would be like, I can't, because for an example, say you're a supervisor and you know more than Carl, and this is just an example wise, and Carl's a supervisor, and you know more about, our editor and how our system works. I can't pay you more than him because you're still a supervisor. If I do pay you more, then I gotta turn around and change his job transcript to no longer say what it is and expect him to do what you do. That's what I mean by exceptional and non-exceptional. It's what is expected from you and what's non-expected from you. Like, to be honest, there was no wrong or right answer. But like, when you talk about exceptional and non-exceptional, it's what's being expected from employees or the CEO and what's not being expected from the CEO and employees. With that being said, and like I said, I don't mean to cut you off, but we're kind of running low on time here. We kind of need to wrap it up a little bit. My company was Babygirllvvs Logistics. Pretty much you can turn around, get hired on, be there for 4 or 5 months, and then they turn around, you literally take 1 day off and they fire you. And no, I get it. No calls, no shows are not great. But like, when you don't talk about or explain in the training or as a supervisor, reminding people about like call-in programs and other programs like that, like for like call-offs, for ways to schedule a day off, like you can't expect the unexpected. Like, that's the kicker, because people get sick, kids get sick, people have stuff to do, things happen, houses blow up, cars break down, things happen. So like, in that aspect, there should be a point system, or there should be some kind of way to be somewhat lenient. I'm not saying be lenient 100%, because like, I get it, call-offs are not great. No call, no shows ain't great, but you can't punish someone for that. And if you call off 1 day and get terminated and not be worked for a week and then be terminated, that's terrible. That is terrible. Like, no offense, and it goes on the top of like, you expect a worker, an employee, to give a 2-week notice, but when you fire them, you don't give them, hey, we're gonna fire you in 2 weeks. Just keep that in mind. Like, you don't consider all that. And now someone's moneyless, having to find a job to pay. Like, I get it, you're money hungry, you want money. You gotta look at it from a person point of perspective and a business also. We are people too. There are people too. It's not just your life, it's everybody's life. With that being said, exceptions are keys. Listening are keys. I mean, we don't know how many times making a bad decision can cripple a company in a matter of seconds. Understand, if a company lost all of its workers, it would no longer be a company. It would no longer be working, because all that would be left would be a CEO, and it would be nothing. So just keep that in mind. So that is the podcast, guys. So go ahead and do us a favor, and like always, stay in the shadows.